This video is brought to you by Robinhood, the free and easy to use investment and trading brokerage. Robinhood allows you to trade and buy stocks, ETFs, bonds, and cryptocurrencies completely free. Also, if you download using the link in the description below, you'll get one free stock valued up to $200 just for signing up. No, you don't have to deposit a dime, and you could become instantly a part owner in companies like Microsoft, Walmart, McDonald's, or Disney just by getting lucky. So download Robinhood today and start taking advantage of this historic 2020 stock market crash. No, that's not my full portfolio. You guys aren't ready for that just yet. What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got some absolutely spectacular Dragon Maid action for you guys to check out. An archetype that was greatly benefited by its new support in Eternity Code. I actually am very fond of the Dragon Maid archetype. I always thought it was super interesting just based on the aesthetics of the archetype, but now it's actually ready for competitive action. And keep in mind, this archetype, really didn't even work when it first came out in Mystic Fighters, but now it's actually quite competent. Truth be told, this is the deck I'm planning to play competitively whenever it is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually starts up again and we have YCSs and regionals and that stuff. And I think it's actually legitimate. Because it's dragon based, you have some very powerful plays, things like Heraldic Seal, and you can also go for guard dragon plays. But even at its core, it just has a lot of individual strong cards, and obviously the new fusion boss monster, Dragon Maid Trial, that card is all world powerful. So you guys will see a couple of duels, and these are actually different builds, so keep that in mind. First duel is going to show off some basic Dragon Maid plays. So you're going to summon your Parlor Dragon Maid. Usually, if you don't have like the most powerful opening hand, but you have a high and low Dragon Maid, you can just drop the fusion into the graveyard. You can bounce the fusion back to your hand by bouncing the monster or the Parlor back to your hand. And then you can just fusion summon and go for Strout. And just like that, you get negation on field. I mean, it doesn't look like the greatest advantage, but keep in mind, this is free negation. She replaces herself, and she has a really good effect during the standby phase as well. So I believe it was Impermanence and Called by the Grave that were both set. And what he's going to do is, luckily he has Nurse Dragon Maid, which is the monster reborn. Gonna special summon that from the hand. That's gonna get Parlor, and then Parlor allows him to set up another one of those big dragon forms in the graveyard. So now he has two dragon forms for his two Maid forms, and both of them can essentially tag out during the battle phase. There's another reason why I like Dragon Maids. They remind me very much of like Gladiator Beast, but you know, obviously they don't tag into the deck, they tag into the hand. Anyways, Adamantipator, super solid deck. Even going second because they're not completely reliant on their normal summon. You're seeing right here. I think he's going to get 4 monsters on board without the normal summon, which is kind of crazy. 4 monsters on board, no restrictions. He could easily go into something like Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, just to stop the Strile effect. But he has Impermanence, so that wouldn't really work, but he doesn't know that that wouldn't work. Anyways, he's going to continue on. He's going to get all the excavation power that he possibly wants. And I believe that his normal summon will be for Red Resignator. And, well, no, he's still got more excavating to do. So let's allow him to do all the excavating. He is going to go for the level 8. Now he's going to go for the Red Resonator. Impermanence will be responded. Okay, he's going to respond with Impermanence. Now, when he activates the Dragite, he is going to respond with Dragon Maid Trial. And I think that he wanted to bait this guy out. But, I mean, he knows that it has negation. So I don't know if who was really baiting who. He's going to go ahead and destroy the level 8, and then House Dragon Maid is going to come out. That's one of the things I love about this deck. You're talking about a level 8 fusion monster that has, you know, negation and destruction, but also it has the ability to tag into another fusion monster. Now he is in the battle phase tagging out into those dragon forms. This would be 2 disruptions. It would be 2 pops right here with how Dragon Maid, but you know, Block Dragon protects against destruction, so that is kind of unfortunate. Most decks don't have that destruction protection, but in general you would be able to get 2 more pops. Now it's perfectly fine, because he did top deck his Monster Reborn, or it's kind of like Cyber Rev system of sorts for Dragon Maids. And once you get Nurse, once you're able to constantly use Nurse, you're able to just use your graveyard as a resource every turn. Keep in mind, you're constantly bouncing these monsters back to your hand. So as long as you don't lose your fusion spell with Dragon Maids, like, you can just continually drop the big ass fusion monster. And this is an archetype that, thank goodness, Konami changed the rules of Master Rule 4, because if Dragon Maids constantly had to go into Link monsters, that wouldn't be so great. But the fact that they can just drop fusion without, you know, needing to use Link monsters is definitely very good. And I think his opponent is right about ready to tap out. He's taking all his dragon forms and he is turning them back into the little forms, and then he's going to end it off with Appaloosa. You look at this and you're like, Cap, was that really worth it? He invested a lot of resources going into Appaloosa, but keep in mind, as long as you have Stroud or House on the field during the standby phase, you can Monster Reborn Nurse, and then Nurse can just Monster Reborn another monster. So technically you get, like, you put 4 cards into Appaloosa, but it doesn't matter because Stroud is going to be a +2 anyways, unless your opponent has like DD Crow, which wouldn't even matter because Stroud would just like negate the DD Crow. As soon as you bring back Nurse, she's a +1, and then you get 2 monsters for free basically. Oops, we didn't mean to do that. So yeah, you're going to recover back all your advantage, and again, your opponent really isn't going to be able to attack these little maids because you got the big dragon forms in your hand. Now at this point, all he has to do is just use Appaloosa on all the monster effects. If your opponent throws a spell or trap at you, use Stroud, and you still again have that battle protection because now with House on the field, your opponent starts attacking, you start tagging out, and then you start blowing up their monsters when you're when they're declaring those attacks. He goes into Halifabrax, but to be honest, he's just kind of ran out of gas at this point. And Dragon Maid are really good at closing out the game because their dragon forms are big as hell. They got, massive attacks. Let's just leave it at that. He's gonna go for the scoop phase, and we're gonna have to call a GG no re on that one. Second duel is going to be a little different, and as I told you guys, you're looking at 2 different builds here. That build was more of a just straight purist Dragon Maid. We didn't really see any, we didn't see a bunch of extra deck cards except the fusion monsters, which is kind of nice with Dragon Maids. I've seen some builds that run extravagance, but I would feel kind of bad if my Stroud got banished. Yeah, that would feel kind of bad. I'll have to test that. Anyways, this is going to be against the Dino player. Dino player, I didn't like this play personally. I mean, these are fine plays, but I didn't like the Abyss Dweller. I feel like if you're going to go for a generic rank 4 in dinosaurs, I think you got to go Loki or Doka, because if you go for Abyss Dweller, you're just assuming your opponent needs to use their graveyard to win, and there are a lot of decks like Zodiac and Dragon Maids that need their graveyard, but they don't activate card effects in the graveyard. Now, he did take away some of his extra deck cards like Guard Dragon LP and Cross Sheep. Even Dragoon or Red Eyes Dragoon is not going to be an option. And you think, all right, I wrecked this guy's extra deck. What if I told you guys that without 2 of the 3 Guard Dragons, we can still get in that work? That's right. 2 of them are banned in the OCG, and the 3rd one, Pisty, is still enough to actually do a lot of work. That's another thing that's good about Dragon Maids, is because they're dragon type. Dragon is just historically such a strong type in Yu-Gi-Oh! So you just get the benefit of being dragons. Anyways, he's going to go ahead and get the Rhoda off the kitchen Dragon Maid. She searches for your monsters. Then he's going to go ahead and activate that Monster Reborn for your chamber. This can get you your fusion spell. That's usually what people get, is they'll search the fusion spell, and he is actually going to get that. He's going to go for Stroud. Then he's going to go for Heraldic Seal. Then he's going to go for the Monster Reborn on Nurse. Nurse is going to activate her Monster Reborn effect. Then just like that, you're fully set up. Now he will go for the Pisty, and again, you think, what can Pisty do without the other Guard Dragons? Cap, just watch. He can do a lot with Pisty. So he's going to go battle phase. He's going to tag out. Now he's going to crash a couple of monsters, and he's actually going to take a trade here, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno with Stroud. Now, if he would have used Conductor to try to put Stroud face down, that would have been stupid, because Stroud just would have negated it and it would have gotten destroyed anyway. So there really wasn't a point of using Conductor's effect, but he's going to be able to just use Pisty and Monster Reborn it. So it's really like he lost nothing in all actuality. He's going to go ahead for Chamber, then he's going to get his Search. His opponent's going to attack. This is when you start tagging out, start using Heraldic Seal to bounce your opponent's stuff, and then you get even more monsters. Opponent's going to try to use that Lightning Storm, but you have negation every single turn for freezies, and then you also get another big 3,000 attack monster to replace. He's going to go for Boral Sword Dragon. Keep in mind, all of this is completely unnecessary, but this is all flex, and if you want to flex on your opponent, go for it. I mean, who am I to tell you guys you can't flex on your opponent? I just think this deck is my only issue. I'm be honest, my only issue with Dragon Maids is the price. I love everything else about the deck. I love the aesthetics of it. I love how colorful the artwork is. You got the pretty maids on it. That's cool too. And it feels just competitively competent enough where it's probably like tier 2-ish. It's definitely not a deck like, it's not a deck you can just walk over. Like 100%, I don't think this is a deck where you can just walk over it, because any deck that can put up multiple disruptions fairly easily, you know, off of like 1 card, 2 cards, is going to be a deck that's at least competent. Anyways, let's check out these deck lists because, okay, so this was the build that we saw in the first duel, and this is just your plain Jane, more purish Dragon Maid build. You see that all the monsters in the main decks are dragons, which is pretty much what you see for most of your Dragon Maid builds outside of like hand traps and stuff like that. But this build doesn't have any reliance on a lot of those dragon extra deck cards like Hieratic Seal or like your guard dragons. This is just kind of control your opponent with the fusions and then beat the crap out of them with the big dragon forms. I really like Phantasme as a hand trap in Dragon Maid, specifically if you're going to run Dragon Maid cleanup. This is the card that's kind of like the evac device for both players' fields, but it can also be kind of like a DD Crow type card. You can take one of your opponent's cards in their graveyard and put it back into their deck. This card's really nice with Phantasme because you can bounce Phantasme back to your hand. So you can special summon it on your opponent's turn, take that spicy +1, and then bounce it back to your hand and use it again if they are going to link summon. Keep in mind, Phantasme should never really be dead because it is technically a level 7 dragon, and it can be used with your Dragon Maid fusion to summon, like, you know, Dragon Maid Shroud or House Dragon Maid, wherever she is. So definitely a powerful card. I'm not super sold on this one, Dragon Maid Downtime, because I mean, it does have the bounce ability, and all these bounce abilities can activate House Dragon Maid for you to pop monsters on your opponent's side of the field. However, its built-in disruption really isn't good. I mean, it just bounces one of your opponent's spells and traps. That's not really reliable. It also has kind of a Rhoda type search built into it, but I'm not super fond. I love seeing Super Poly in these Dragon Maid builds because you can obviously just attack your opponent with your big dragons, and then you can Super Poly during the battle phase and beat the crap out of them going into like a Shroud or a House Dragon Maid. This build's a little different. It's still focused on dragons, but you do see a little more variation when it comes to like hand traps. You see, you know, Ash Blossom. You have your Evening Crescent. This isn't her TCG name, so I'm just, you guys know what the hell I'm talking about. You're also seeing the you know, the Red Eyes Dragoon engine in here. Now, the good thing about Red Eyes Dragoon engine in Dragon Maid specifically, if you draw Dark Magician, it sucks. There's no getting around that. However, if you draw this bugger, again, it's a level 7 dragon, so you can use it to fusion summon into your fusion monsters, and it's not the worst thing ever, especially if you're able to fusion summon, then drop this guy somehow. If you're able to drop the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, you can bring this dude back from the graveyard and you can beat your opponent down. Hell, if you run both of this, if you run this engine and Super Poly, you can also Super Poly using your Red Eyes Black Dragon as well. So yeah, this is a deck that I really like. I love the aesthetics. I like the way the artwork looks. And the only thing I don't like about Dragon Maids is, of course, the price. Anyways, if you guys are interested in playing these Dragon Maid ladies, the links to the decks will, of course, be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.